What's up? What's up? Real MVPs, Ricky Widmer here, and welcome into another week, another day, another episode of MVP Sports Live. I am joined, as I always am, with my beautiful co-host, Dave Oster. Dave, how you doing today? How you doing on this new week? What's today's date? May 10th. May 10th. No, you're not unmuted. How you doing, Dave? How you doing, Dave? How you doing?
And this is why I keep the stream up until I hear my own voice. Got to keep that second screen going just in case.
Dave's like, I need to hear myself. How you doing today, Dave?
You burned me too many times, Ricky. You burned me so many times. I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, it's a unique week because it's almost all NBA week here on MVP because naturally, what else is going on right now?
I mean, you could talk about baseball.
Apparently, there's nothing to talk about, Dave. There's nothing to talk about. You can't do that every week.
162 games and nothing.
162 games and nothing to talk about. Dave's like, just put another arrow into my quiver of the anti-baseball discussion.
Absolutely.
But no, it's going to be a great week. It's mostly all NBA. I say that because Wednesday the NFL schedules come out. So obviously we got to talk about who's going to win the Super Bowl on Thursday. Because we'll know wins and losses exactly on Thursday. But it's going to be a great week, a great show today as we're talking some Boston Celtics news. How their season's over, Dave. Jaylen Brown, or if you looked at the tweet, Jaylen Tatum is gone. Done. Torn ligament in the lefto wristo, and season's over for the Boston Celtics. Then we're talking about the Bulls and their draft, and if there will even be a draft for the Bulls. That's not just a second-round pick. Before we get into everything, though, quick housekeeping. Number one, the big new information is that starting today, we start our last 2 weeks. We're giving Twitch our last 2 weeks notice, Dave. And I say that because as of May 24th, we'll be moving to YouTube full-time, streaming over there. So just last 2 weeks, we'll be on Twitch, and then we'll be on YouTube full-time doing the live shows and videos all going over there. Rest of the housekeeping is the same. Join the Discord if you haven't already. It's the greatest community in the universe. Link down below if you are on YouTube or !Discord into Twitch chat gets you that link. You can also support us at patreon.com/MVPvids, or you can throw us a sub on Twitch. You still can do it. It'll support us even though we'll be on YouTube in 2 weeks. And then the schedule for this week, NBA on Monday was supposed to be Soaps and Dave, but I'm filling in today for Soaps. I'm assuming he's sleeping. So it's Dave and I today. Then Jake and Soapy tomorrow. Soaps and Dave on Wednesday. All talking NBA Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday, Jake and I will be talking NFL. Friday, Jake and I will be talking NBA. So it's all NBA except for that one NFL day on Thursday. And there's your housekeeping, Dave. So we'll get into the first topic, and that is the Boston Celtics. Like I said, Jaylen Brown, Sham said, has been diagnosed with a torn ligament in his left wrist and will be out the remainder of the season. I'm assuming this means regular season and playoffs because of how close we are to the playoffs. So I will ask you this. Celtics, they sit right now as the 7th team in the East. They will most likely be the play-in team for the first game of the play-in tournament. How does this injury affect their playoff hopes and their playoff aspirations?
Well, you come to me for one thing only. That's Celtics hate. So let's just get right to it, boys. They're fucked. They are up, down, left, right, and fucked. I mean, it's just a situation where Jaylen Brown was their second best player. He was their most consistent player night in, night out. And really, I mean, next to Marcus Smart, it felt like he was kind of the go-to guy in that locker room. So it's a massive blow for this team. Really unfortunate to hear the news. And especially like he was having his best year. That's all he's done is get better each and every year. So it's disappointing to see him end the year on a kind of a sour note. Hopefully he is all the way back when he does get back, though. That's all we can root for at this point. But it does mean that the pickup of Evan Fournier is now ever more important. Like, it's never been more critical that they are going to get him comfortable in the rotation. And obviously, the bench guys that's been the problem with the Celtics. That's been the entire issue is the Celtics have incredibly top-heavy talent, and they've got such youth, but at the same time, that youth is not ready to play at a high level. So this just cuts them out, where you thought you'd have an Evan Fournier as a bench scorer and helping out that second unit. Now you've got to plug him into the starting unit in all likelihood come playoff time. Like, I don't know. Does it change the fact that they're, a play-in team? Probably no. But at the same time, does it mean that they're probably going to lose in the first round? It hurts their chances. I don't know if there's a guaranteed loss, though. I think this team still has enough talent to fight in a series. Like, that's the thing, Jason Tatum's insane. Like, he is a top level wing in the NBA, and he's been playing incredibly well. So I won't go past him, but at the same time, I don't know who else I can count on really night in, night out for consistent performances. So I think here, the idea of that play-in game is now insane to me. If they fall down to the 8 spot, which would be what? You said 2 games?
Yeah, so
they're stuck like 2 between 2? Okay.
So they're 12 back of the 76ers. That is 2 games back of the 6th seed. And then the Charlotte Hornets are 2 games back of them at 8.
Got it. So, there's only a handful of games left. There's a good chance they will stay in that play-in tournament, which makes things tricky because if they lose 1 game there, that's they're now in a situation where if they lost a second game, it's over.
Mm-hmm. Well,
that's what it is. Right? Because it's 7-8, and then the loser continues to play, and the winner goes to the playoff bracket.
Yeah, so it'll be 7-8. Winner gets the 7th seed. Loser then plays the winner of 9-10, and then the winner of basically that winner and the loser gets the 8th seed.
9-10's winner faces 7-8's loser.
Yeah. And then that team gets the winner of that game gets the 8th seed.
2 losses.
The thing that sucks too is like you look at their remaining schedule, because the thing that Celtic fans are probably hoping for is, okay, and yet again, when I say we, I'm going to speak like I'm the head of a Celtic fan.
Sure.
If you're a Celtic fan, you were probably thinking, all right, we're 2 back of Miami. We play them on Tuesday. Get Jaylen Brown back. We can get going. And now it's like, okay, now we have to play Miami on Tuesday. That's, to me, it's like, is it a for sure loss? No. It's in the Garden, so you're going to be playing them at home. Jason Tatum does have enough to beat Miami, especially if like Jimmy misses or Bam Adebayo misses or any of the other players.
They played them
on
close.
Miami. They do.
These guys did just play each other yesterday, so
yeah, and it
was a great
6
matchup.
Points, 6-point loss for the Celtics. And then the other one, like Cleveland should be a win. Minnesota could be a win, but Minnesota doesn't seem to know they're tanking. They just seem to be playing basketball.
They're trying to gift the Warriors pick this year. I don't know what they're thinking. Mm-hmm. I get it. You love the youth. Their post-game interviews, top 5. Mm-hmm. They're top 5 in post-game interviews. Yeah. I love this young team, but at the same time, like, I'm with you. Are they fucking clueless as far as like, do these 3 wins at the end of the year mean so much that you would give up a chance at a top 3 draft pick? Yeah. What are you thinking?
Yeah. And then you play the Knicks in the last game, where right now the Knicks are holding on, so they're not going to get the 3 seed.
The Knicks are better than the Lakers, Ricky. The New York Knicks are better than the LA Lakers on May 10th,
thanks to D-Rose, 2021. D-Rose playing some lights out basketball.
Arguably 6th man of the year now. Mm-hmm. I think that Clarkson had been handed the award, but if you look at the stats, conversation different day, obviously. Yeah. Me and Jake had this, but then we didn't realize how goddamn amazing Derrick Rose was for 6th man of the year.
By the way, I will say this, and I have to get this out on the record. I hope that the Knicks get the 6th seed. I hope they are not the 4 or the 5 seed, Dave.
Why?
Here's the reasoning. Because I think they will win that first round series, and then they will go play the Philadelphia 76ers, and I can't watch a Tom Thibodeau team with Derrick Rose play in Philly because it means one thing. Yeah, I just can't.
That fucking injury.
I can't. All week, Dave. All series they will play that injury.
I can't have it. You're right.
They need to be the 6th seed. They need to be the 6th seed, and then beat the Bucks and then play. Like, I can't see a second round series of Philly and New York with Tom Thibodeau and Derrick Rose on that team.
I got the goosebumps all over.
I know. I thought about that this weekend.
It burned in my memory, Ricky. That Derrick Rose injury was horrific and life-altering for Derrick, obviously.
Or does Derrick Rose get his revenge? He comes back years later, almost a decade later, and he gets his revenge over what should have.
And we get him on mic, and he goes, "Fuck you, Spencer Hawes." And like, oh,
it comes back full circle. But
full circle.
Back with the Celtics, like
no, they've got a very good chance of winning out against these teams. Like they've got
I would say the exact opposite. They have a good chance of going 1-3.
The Miami game, and then it's easy.
No, I would say the Miami game is tough. The Cavs game is easy. They should beat the Timberwolves, but who knows? The Timberwolves can play lights out, and the Knicks is hard.
I think they're going to be at that point where the T-Wolves will realize what's going on very quickly and what they should be doing. Yeah. So they're going to slow it down. They're going to intentionally lose towards the end, because if they get to that point where they lose 8% chance on keeping that top pick, 8% is massive.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Won't do it.
Well,
and then I think the Knicks thing, they could be locked in. I think the Knicks could be locked in to their spot, whereas the Celtics are fighting for their seeding. Because could you imagine if a team like Charlotte got hot all of a sudden and Charlotte won out? What would happen if you fell? Like, that's so. At the same time,
let me pull up. I was looking at it from the other way. So the thing I'm looking at is I think it's going to be reversed. Is that going into that last game, the Knicks are going to be fighting for their spot, because I think that tonight against the Wizards, I think Atlanta gets the win because Beal's not playing, and we all know what happens when it's just Russ out there on his own. I looked into it today because I was trying to place bets and I couldn't feel confident going with the Wizards in any sort of way, spread or non, because most of the time it's like Russ gets his points, but the Wizards lose without Beal out there also.
But Russ is going to break the record tonight.
You're right.
You think he wants to break the record as a loser?
I don't think he'll get the choice.
I think he goes Bestbrook again. Did you see him out there? He was playing fucking effort on both ends of the court, Ricky. I don't want to hear no slander about Russell Westbrook today.
The other side, though, is Miami. After they play Boston on Tuesday, their next three are the Sixers at home, the Bucks on the road, and then the Pistons. So,
two tough games, you end on a cupcake.
Like, if let's say they lose those two in the middle, let's say they beat Boston, lose the next two, and beat the Pistons, they could be in a chance towards like, okay, they solidified the 6th seed, and we're not fighting for the 4th seed, because the whole thing is, will the Hawks or the Heat be in contention for that 4th seed heading into that final day? Whereas Charlotte has Denver, the Clippers, the Knicks, and Washington.
Okay, so Charlotte's falling. It's like falling behind. Never mind. Charlotte's gone.
So it'll probably be Boston, Washington in that first game.
Yes, it will. Which would be great, because I don't know if you remember, this was a John Wall thing, but when the Wizards did the blackout game, there's some history there. Even though it's no longer John Wall's team, Bradley Beal's still there as the holder of that legacy. So I would be very curious to see if there's that tenacity. I think there would be. I think that would be an electric one game. Oh, yeah.
Whereas Washington has, just to throw theirs out there, Monday, Wednesday, they're in Atlanta. So today and Wednesday, they're in Atlanta. Then they have Cleveland on Friday, Charlotte on Sunday.
Yeah, Washington could clean up.
So, we're looking at it to where possibly it could be Boston could hang on to the 7th. I feel confident with Boston hanging on to the 7th. Washington's only a game behind Charlotte, so
they're probably going to leap Charlotte, because Charlotte's got just murderer's row.
Yeah, even if they split against Atlanta, if they win the last two against Cleveland and Charlotte, they're in the 8th seed, and then it'll probably be the Hornets and Pacers, because I don't see the Bulls jumping into the play-in tournament. We could. There's a chance. Mathematically, we're still alive.
What's the Bulls? I say, what's the Bulls' final couple games, Ricky? Let's talk about the real team at hand.
Yeah, we'll do the Pacers too. I haven't looked at their final four. We'll do all of them. So the final four for the Pacers.
Every segment's a Bulls segment. Try hard enough, Jake.
It's a play-in tournament thing, Jake. It's a play-in.
Yeah, we have to explain that we have to explain the context of the play-in tournament in order to give you the chances of the Celtics getting knocked out in the tournament or playoffs.
So the Pacers have 5 games. They play on Sunday too. They've got Cleveland tonight, Philly and Milwaukee Tuesday, Thursday, the Lakers on Saturday, and then Toronto on Sunday.
It's doable.
Whereas the Bulls will have the Nets tomorrow.
Oh, come on. We're waiting.
The Bulls have Brooklyn tomorrow, Toronto on Thursday.
Absolutely.
Brooklyn on Saturday, Milwaukee on Sunday.
Oh, we got this. We're going to finish this up. Fucking got this.
My favorite thing, by the way, real small, is Casey Johnson put out a tweet. Are the Bulls getting better, or are they playing teams that are basically don't have full strength? He said, we'll find out Tuesday against the Nets, because the Nets will probably not be at full strength. They will probably not have Harden, KD, or Kawhi. But, basically we're certain, or you and I are certain in our prediction, that Boston will be the 7th seed. They're not going to be climbing into the 6th seed with this, and they're not going to fall to 8 or 9 or 10.
I think it's fairly reasonable that they will stay the 7. Their schedule seems doable. Everybody else's schedule on them seems kind of clear cut which way things should go. So yeah, I do agree. They should go in there as the 7th seed. I think we will see, like we talked about, that Wizards and Celtics matchup in the first play-in game, which I'm thrilled to see. Do you think healthy Beal? No Jaylen Brown.
I wouldn't put it past the Wizards from getting a win. The way the Wizards have been playing to end this season, I would go into that game nervous if I was a Celtics fan. I would be like, okay, obviously we're at an advantage. So would the Wizards be, because it's like one loss doesn't kill our season.
Right.
But at the same time, the thing I would not want to see is you lose to the Wizards, which I could see happening. Right. Then between Charlotte and Indiana, I would say Indiana wins that game over Charlotte potentially. And then if you play the Pacers, the 2 teams I would not want to see in the play-in tournament from the Celtics are the Wizards and the Pacers.
And the
Chicago Bulls. Because those are the 2 teams playing the most inspired basketball right now. Where it seems like the Hornets are just hanging on. Dude, the way they're hanging on, I look at it and I go, they should not be in the play-in tournament, but they're still in there. They're still hanging on.
Domantas Sabonis is trying his best.
Yeah, the Wizards are the ones to where it's they are the one team I will not want to see, but you're probably going to see in that first game.
I don't buy the Pacers being legitimate anything. They are just a sieve on the defensive end. I don't think that it's every game just turns into a shootout. I don't know that they'll have the firepower necessarily to knock anybody out with that setup right now. So I think that Boston could take them out. I think honestly, the Hornets are a fun team. That's the one where if Terry Rozier gets hot,
are they going to be fully healthy though? And what I mean by fully healthy is not Gordon Hayward. I'm talking about the last few games, and I don't know if they're doing this because of legitimate injuries or if it's we're going to say it's a wrist, but it's really to get your injury healthy, is if they're missing a Devonta Graham or a Miles Bridges or just a PJ Washington, one of those pieces, if they miss one of those because of a legitimate nagging injury, then I would be I'm not confident in the Hornets. The Hornets have to be all there, and by all there, I mean the only one missing is Gordon Hayward.
Yeah, that's why even if I'll say this, even if the Celtics lose in the 7-8 matchup against the Washington Wizards in our hypothetical situation here, I still would have them favored over the 9 or the 10.
Yeah,
I don't think either one of those teams, unless it's Chicago Bulls, in which case me, 100% Chicago will walk out of there putting Boston down for the season.
Hell yeah.
That would be fitting.
And then we get Philly-Chicago round 1.
That would be absolutely fitting. Pipes walks out of there being thank you. Thank you for letting me be free.
Would we have to go to Philly then for a playoff game?
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, we would.
I would be down with that though, because by then, Ricky,
COVID shot
you got shot 2. I got shot 2.
I'd be 2 weeks out of shot 2. So the full Jake is also shot 2. He is shot 2. He got it a couple days before me.
Going. Just saying. But yeah, no, I think Boston is in a situation where they're allowed to lose one game and they're still likely to make it into the actual playoffs.
Yeah.
The problem is just like we said, who can they count on? Is this a situation where Kemba Walker will step up?
Yeah.
Because they desperately need him to. Like he had 2 amazing games in the last week and then an absolute fucking dud. Like if you can get 2 for 1, maybe. Yeah. Like that could be a situation where in a playoff series, best of 7, sure. So I think that I think they have 0 fucking chance if they have to go up against or if it's Boston 76ers round 1, though.
And here's
right?
here's the thing. I agree with you. Where it doesn't matter who they play out of the play-in tournament, because if you win game 1, congratulations, you get the Brooklyn Nets full health. Where I don't even know, like, they're a team to where it's like, are they just going to run through the playoffs as the 2 seed because they're just going to be fully healthy for the first time all year? And then even if you lose the first, win the second, congratulations, you get one of the hottest teams all year in the Philadelphia 76ers, who, good luck, if Maxi's shooting the way he's shooting, the second unit will burn you just as much as the first unit, to where,
as long as Joe is healthy. That's the only thing. Yeah. If Joe's not healthy, like, the door's open. Like, I mean, the Sixers are still great, but the door's open.
The thing for me, what Boston needed and what Brown's injury hurts, is they needed to make a run for the 6. Can they still do it? Yeah. If they beat Miami tomorrow, then it's still wide open, because then they would be a game back of it. They need the 6 seed, but even if they get the 6 seed now, even by playing Milwaukee without Jaylen Brown, I favor Milwaukee heavily now in that first series, to where, like, if Jaylen Brown was there for it, I would say there's a chance Boston upsets the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, near coin flip status for me.
So, like, that's really where it is. Unless they, like, and yet again, because of how everything was so close, they could have even made a late push for the 4 or the 5 and gotten to that series of, like, okay, we're playing the Knicks now, because literally Atlanta and Miami are tied at 37 and 31. Like, and that's 4 or 5, depending on who you play, then the Knicks or the Bucks.
So I might be a little early on this one, Ricky, but be remiss if we didn't bring up the fact that should someone be on the hot seat now?
Yes, he should have been on the hot seat. Should have been on the hot seat for not getting any trades done. And
no, he did get a trade done. He got 2 trades done.
Got a trade done. You know what I mean? Like,
Danny fucking Ainge. Will he have a job this time next year?
I said it before, Dave. If this was Chicago, if he was Garpax, he wouldn't be gone. It would take about 5 years to get him gone. But, like, fans would be calling for his head. And yet again, maybe it's because I'm not, like, in the echo chamber of Celtic fans, but I don't hear anyone calling for Danny Ainge's head. I just don't hear it. Or it's just because it could also be, and I've heard JD say this, it doesn't matter if we call for his head, because there's no way ownership will fire him.
Yeah, he's a legend. I don't think he goes out on anyone's terms but his own. And that's the problem. I think the outside, we're starting to see that he's overstayed his usefulness. But if he still thinks he's adding value to the franchise, then he's going to stay.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, like, when will you hit that point where it's like, we have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and what have we done around them? You know, they're on contract number 2. How many more years are we going to give him to build a team around these guys to win a championship? Because in theory, like, this should be the time where you're adding on that value. And obviously, you can't account for the horrific injuries of Gordon Hayward. But the idea that you can't flip a roster in 4 years, 3 years, to get talent on this team that fits around your stars, kind of a shitty excuse.
Yeah, no, he should be on the hot seat. And yet again, some people say, but the Jaylen Brown injury, he shouldn't be fired for the injury. It's really then, like, by hot seat, I mean, we should be taking a look at him and be like, is he really the right GM to get the Celtics to the spot?
Jaylen Brown's not injured. This team's still not a favorite in the East.
No.
They're not a 1 through 3 seed. They're not a 4 seed, maybe even.
Yeah.
I think best case scenario, like, if they were fully healthy, I'm not buying in the whole, like, you know, if Kemba was healthy the whole season, Jason Tatum healthy the whole season does help them because he's a fucking monster, but still. I don't think this is a top 4 seed in the East. So if you don't have a top 4 seed in the East, have you done your best to build around these guys? Would it have looked so much better if you could have pulled the trigger on a Aaron Gordon trade instead of an Evan Fournier trade? What would that look like for this team?
Let me ask you this. Does the Jaylen Brown injury save Brad Stevens' job? Because I've been, since midseason, saying that Danny Ainge should be the one fired, but Brad Stevens would be the scapegoat. Or if they lose in the play-in tournament, is Brad Stevens still the scapegoat and he's fired?
I don't think Brad Stevens gets fired because I don't know who's going to replace him. Mm-hmm. I don't have a guy who has a better reputation and is well respected around the league. I think the problem is that Brad Stevens has a certain play style that he's trying to do.
Yeah.
And they don't have the talent there to achieve that, so he's kind of playing suboptimally. Like his rotations, because of their lacking a true big who can thrive, who can space the floor, and their lack of a true point guard who's been there all season. Like, maybe it's just my pure straight hate for Kemba Walker. Like, it is what it is, but they don't have the right pieces to win with his style. So say you want to go get someone, who would be the top name on the market this offseason? Jason Kidd?
Well, Jake says, depends on how the playoffs go. Well, first to that is I said if they lose in the play-in tournament, that's how the playoffs would go. And then he says Celtics could 100% hire Bud. If the Bucks move on from Bud, is Bud the if de facto best replacement and the replacement in Boston? Or is it a, hey, he couldn't get the Hawks over the hump. He couldn't get the Bucks over the hump with Giannis. How is he going to get us over the hump?
Yeah, he is the best. He's perhaps one of the best regular season coaches in NBA history. Can't win with him in the playoffs though.
Yeah,
and I think that's the thing. He will overachieve. He's like Nate McMillan on steroids. He can get your team to overachieve in the regular season, but come playoff time, he's not going to win a series. He's not going to be that X factor that puts your team in the right position to win a game in those key moments.
And the Celtics aren't in that situation because you look at the last 4 years before this one, conference finals, conference semifinals, conference finals. That's where the Bucks are. That's where the Celtics are. The Celtics are looking to get over that conference finals hump, not get into the playoffs. Like for a coach like Bud, I would say like the Bulls, the Pacers, the Hornets, like one of those teams that's like on the fringe, that would be a great place for him because it's like we're trying to get into the playoffs, not trying to get into the finals.
Yeah, could you imagine Bud on a team like the Hornets, Bud on a team like the Pelicans? Holy fuck. Sign me up today. But it ain't happening.
Would Mike D'Antoni work?
I looked at that, I smiled. I will acknowledge that I like the idea, but they do not have a point guard. They do not have someone who
would they trade Kemba this offseason to try to get
trade Kemba for Spence Dinwiddie?
Or as or Dave, as you know how I said Pascal Siakam one year?
Yeah.
In 2014, Jake found another one when Dinwiddie was drafted by the Pistons. Do you want to know how he pronounced his last name?
What was that?
Spencer Dinwiddie.
Wait, Din what? You like that?
Dinwiddie.
It was an L instead of an I. Yeah, gotcha. Dinwiddie. Yeah, I think that would be interesting. I think they'd have to find the right guard for him. I think D'Antoni only works. I don't know why he would leave. He has the perfect setup. He's out of the spotlight, but what
if he wants to be a head coach again? That's the thing.
I mean, let's be honest. For all effective purposes,
is the head coach.
We all think he's the head coach of this team. I mentioned the man's name as the coach of the year, and Jake just kind of looked at me like, well, he's not really the coach. Like, you're not right.
Yeah.
But he isn't.
Well, you said you're like Steve Nash because D'Antoni's winning him coach of the year.
That's what I'm saying. Like, isn't he though?
Yeah.
So I don't think he would leave his best friend in James Harden, his compatriot.
Yeah.
So I think the idea of D'Antoni would be great. I don't think he's going to leave. I think that there's just a lack of guys who could elevate this team higher than Brad Stevens. So that's why I look at the front office. I think GM's the thing that's got to be shaken up. I think the roster needs a shakeup because they've been forcing so many minutes into guys. And meanwhile, other guys, don't get the minutes, they don't develop. Well, if you don't develop in the regular season, you're going to be shit in the playoffs if you have to play. Yeah. Injuries happen. They're going to be forced to play guys more minutes than they should. And it's the same old story.
So let's take a move on to we're continuing our draft series of where we look at the best prospect fits for various teams. And we're going down. We started at the top. Now we're getting closer to the end of the lottery.
Top, now we're here.
Or the end of the lottery before we go to the like playoff teams. And the thing is, this was supposed to be Wednesday. Obviously, we made the switch because Soapy couldn't make it. Today was supposed to be the Spurs, but I wanted you and I on, even though Jake was like, well, it might be nice to get an outsider perspective. No, if it's gonna be the Bulls, we're Bulls echo chamber, Dave. That's what Bulls fans want. We want the echo chamber of
get the pure
complete Bullsness. Even though Jake did make the joke, and I made it also, like, well, Dave's too realistic of a Bulls fan.
You're right. I have Bulls fandom. I am a Bulls fan through and through, but at the same time, I am not a fanatic.
Yeah, I believe the exact words from Jake was, Dave is too realistic.
Yeah.
Dave will be like, no, I'm too negative because I'm too realistic about how my team should be, even though every fan is like, yes, we have a chance.
Yeah, that's clearly me after talking about how the Bulls are going to win 4 straight 2 games over the Nets to make the playoffs and then beat the Boston Celtics in the play-in tournament.
Here's how we're going to start this one, though. Instead of saying, what do we do if we get X pick? How should Bulls fans feel if we don't have our pick this year? That's where we have to start. Because right now we don't have our pick unless we get a top 4.
Just chat.
What?
Just chat's good.
What?
Hell, Ricky even rigs his mocks.
No. Okay, no. Here,
no,
I didn't. Here's the reason. Because yesterday I'm like, okay, I'm going to start my mock that I'm going to do, and the top order had the Grizzlies at 3 and the Bulls at 4, and Jake and JD went on this rant about how I rigged it, and I was like, I literally clicked it 3 times, like Jake said. Sorry it happened to do that. I didn't sit there and click it a million times. You guys can get off my goddamn back. Go ahead, Dave. How should we feel if we don't have our pick?
I think the Bulls should feel okay that we don't have our pick. It's not a great feeling to not have a top 10 pick or a lottery level pick when our team finishes in the lottery area. But at the same time, we also have, a top 6 center in the NBA. Feels pretty fucking good to have that. Or would we draft a top 6 center in the NBA level player with that pick this year? Seems unlikely. It does seem unlikely. And again, when you look back at the center we did take just a couple of years ago, who we thought, comp to Al Horford. The guy taken right before him, and Mohamed Bamba, someone who you fell in love with. You were riding that man's dick.
I still love Bamba. Motherfucking Bo.
Yeah, the best part about Mohamed Bamba is his song. His play is so fucking atrocious.
Oh, he's been picking it up as of late. Now that he's got time to.
His defense looks hilarious. He's getting bullied by fucking 6 guys.
But he scored 27 points in some games. Now the Chuma and Wendell are not playing because of tank mode.
Yeah. That says a lot about that team. That Mohamed Bamba couldn't get minutes until they had to trade Ken Birch off the team and go in full tank mode and not have a 6'8" center who was dominating people. Point being, the last couple centers taken that high, not doing so hot. Meanwhile, we get a fucking all-star in his prime right now. Is that worth it? Probably right now. I mean, the problem is that your draft expectations, I don't even want to consider that because Arturas Karnisovas is a much better talent evaluator in our minds than we previously had in Garpax. So AKME, gotta give Eversley some credit as well. I believe that they're better talent evaluators. So should I feel sad that they're going to miss a shot at getting a top pick in this class? Or should I feel like, hey, they've evaluated the talent. Nothing's changing. No one's playing more games. I guess European players are, but I don't think anybody's going to move up into that range where we'd be picking. And they're going, we could get an all-star, top 6 guy in his position and have him locked up for a couple of years. Or we can take a shot at someone who, in all likelihood, might not get there ever. I feel okay about it. I'll be honest. I think that we can get, value in the second round. I think we've got a very good chance at still landing quality talent. So I'm not broken up about it. I'm just a little disappointed because I kind of want to have that fun of being able to mock, like,
Yeah.
what if we get 6? What if we get 8? What if we get 10? Like,
I used to be where you were at, where it was like, oh man, it kind of sucks that we don't have our pick. But ever since the NFL draft, and after something you actually said, Dave, I am at full peace if we don't have our pick. And the reason why is you made the comment of, we were talking about, I think it was the Pacers. And you mentioned how we look at the NFL draft and there were either guys taken way earlier than they should or guys fell because the scouting was different this year. Pro days were different. You weren't allowed to do things that you would in the past, to where I'm going almost big brain mode of, on top of everything you said with Vucevic, of getting an all-star center that's in his prime now, us getting that, I think we shouldn't be upset if we lose our pick. Now, do I think that Adam Silver will rig it so that the Bulls keep our pick? Probably, because, it's rigged. I know two things for sure. Houston's getting a top 4 pick and the Thunder are getting a top 4 pick. Those are just locks because the lottery is rigged year in and year out.
Minnesota will lose their top 4 pick.
Here's the other thing.
It'll be a Warriors pick. I'll say that. Yeah. I'll call it right now.
Yeah. Here's the other thing that I mentioned this weekend. Could you imagine if for some reason because of the Zion stuff and because like David Griffin speaking out, that the NBA gave the Pelicans the number 1 pick and they got Cade Cunningham? And you match Cade Cunningham up with Zion Williamson. The league would be over, right? Like completely over. Like they would just be the new team of the future. But like, I'm not mad if we don't get our pick, and the reason being is we've come into this thinking that AK knows his shit when it comes to scouting. And I wonder if AK looked at this and said, "Hey, we know the top 4. We know the top 4 is the top 4. Cade, Mobley, JG4, Suggs, whatever order you have them in, those are your top 4. So I'm keeping that. So if we get a top 4, we're getting one of those players, which is the top 4. Outside of that, I would need to do scouting to where, I don't know, maybe he's sitting there going, I don't know if I'd be able to put in the due diligence because of everything going on with COVID still, that would make me confident in picking someone. So let me trade it for Vucevic, who I know is an all-star center. Now, that's why I'm at the point where it's like, if we lose it, we lose it. I'm not upset about it because next year there won't be any of this COVID stuff, and AK can basically do what we know he's good at, scouting players and getting the right one.
Ricky. Let's just...
What?
Let's keep the fingers crossed on by this time next year, there won't be any of this COVID stuff.
I don't think there would, but you're right. Well, anything can happen.
It is kind of fucking riding the struggle bus right now. And if
good point.
What's going on over there happens, and there's different variants, I don't even want to think about the world in 2022. But I do see what you're saying. The other thing that we haven't brought up is obviously the situation that the Bulls are in. We're not in a situation where we can wait and develop.
Yeah.
We have Zach LaVine, who will not be taking an extension this year because he will be eligible for a larger max next year, which means we have 1 year to prove to Zach LaVine that we are worth the next contract sign. That is a big pressure on a team that so far has underachieved. We've struggled with injuries, obviously, but who hasn't this year? So I don't think that's really a great excuse anymore. I think that we're in a position where it's put up or shut up, and we need to know if Zach LaVine will be here for the next 3 years, 4 years. And if we don't win, why would you stay? I wouldn't blame him. I wouldn't blame the front office for going and trading him halfway through a season if we're looking like a shit team. That's clearly what they're trying to prove here is Zach LaVine is our core. He is our star. We're going to put a star next to him, and then we're going to go try to get another one. And that's how we're going to win fucking games and be a playoff team. So by doing this move, it is a kind of an agreement with Zach. That is why this move had to happen in my mind. I'm sure it's a combination of what we've mentioned before, but it's also, I think this weighed into this idea that we don't need a draft pick this year because a draft pick this year is probably not going to help us win unless it's a top 4 pick.
Yeah.
So I'm all about that, Ricky. I think that I'm not sad that like they made the deal happen. I'm kind of sad that we don't get to mock like 17 different positions for the Bulls
Yeah.
this year. You
So
know?
the one thing I was going to ask you about was the interesting thing for me draft wise for the Bulls is Lowry Markkinen and Kobe White. Will
Yes,
they,
sir.
like, the question I will ask you is, will they be moved for draft picks? So, like, for example, I'm reading an article here from Pippin Ain't Easy, the fan-sided Bulls site, where they
Yes,
bring
sir.
up the Spurs as a possible team to possibly trade Lowry Markkinen to this
Yeah,
offseason.
because he's white and European. I see what they did there with the
I
Spurs. Big
see.
brain move.
But do you think it would be more of like we're trading for a draft pick and a player, or just we're getting a veteran on this team to make the playoffs? Because the Spurs would have a low lottery pick. They'd probably be
I
like
don't
13,
think
14.
I don't think Lowry in a sign and trade would be worth it. For a low lottery pick. I think his value is somewhere in the 12 to 15 million at tops. And I don't know if they're going to be all in on paying him 15. Also, I don't know how that deal would work out. Like, is he eligible for sign and trade for a draft pick, or would that be like one of those like handshake deals on the line?
It would be the handshake. So it would be
Okay.
whoever the Spurs drafted would be
Go
who
to
they
us.
trade to.
And we would trade after the date where it
Yeah.
becomes officially eligible for the sign and trade.
Yeah,
Okay.
because he's
That's
a
what I
free
thought.
agent.
It'd be a Wiggins K Love situation.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, sure, he would fit their team, and obviously, if they're moving away from Rudy Gay, Lowry could start for them while they have Luka on the bench, and they just roll full development. I think they've got a young, fun crew there. It's just a matter of like, are they ready to take that step away from Rudy Gay? Is Rudy Gay ready to ring chase because he's ready for it? In my mind. So yeah, like. It's possible. I didn't even think about that. I just assumed Lowry was gone for nothing at this point. That's kind of where my mind was made up. Kobe's an interesting one because
he's under contract still.
Kobe's under contract, but it's also the month of it's a late season month, Ricky. And you know what Kobe White does in late season month?
Oh, he does the same thing that Amir Sheik does. Or no, not Amir Sheik. Nico Mirotic, where it's April showers bring Nico Flowers, because that's all he's shooting his threes.
Yes, I mean it is a seasonal thing, and it happens every year seemingly. So I'm excited to see him play this well, but it's like, is it an illusion? Is it for real? Are we just beating up on teams who are missing too many players so he looks better?
That's what
I think he does. I think he looks better. But
did you see how many players that were out for the Pistons? By the way, like their entire roster was almost out.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, like they're 4 rookies all played. That's kind of cool.
It's good for them. I'm just saying.
Low key, impressed by the Detroit front office. Fucking 5 stars last season.
I also love how Soapy bashes Sekou Demboya, and now he's playing up.
He had one good game. Okay,
he had a good game against the Bulls too.
I'm just saying, credit to them. They did a great job in one season on the rebuild.
Yeah,
but I think that Kobe White is the interesting one. I think he might be the guy who gets another year on the go round. We'll see where he goes. I don't think that we necessarily are going to move anybody during the draft. I think that if we don't get our top pick, Satoransky might be the only guy. I view it as him and below kind of a thing. Like, I don't think there's anybody above Satoransky on the pecking order who would be moved. I think he is the guy who doesn't move the needle enough. He's a quality player, but he's not someone we can count on to elevate his game and elevate the game of those around him. He is just passable. So we could trade him for a late one or in a package for something, you know?
Because that leads to the question is, who should the Bulls target then late in the first round? If we're trying to get in late in the first to get someone, because right now the only pick we have is the 38th overall pick in round 2.
Right. So the idea is, would Eversley agree to trade up? Or would it be this is a team that likes when players fall, they take them. Like, that's my thing. And I feel like they wouldn't trade up. I feel like I'm asking for something that's out of character for them. I think if they did Sato and 38 for like 26 or something like that, I don't even know who's 26. I'm just ballparking values. Yeah, I mean that I think uncharacteristic, but same time, like who would they be reaching up for at the end of the first round? Who has that value? What position has someone who is a absolute stud that late in the draft who wouldn't be there in 10 more spots?
So one name I'm going to throw out there only because you love him is, let's say we get past pick 25. Sharif Cooper is still there.
Oh my God, I would blow my load for that. Absolutely.
Like right now, Tankathon has Sharif at 26 to the Nets.
Yeah, they're insane.
Like,
and
I'm just saying,
a word I can't say on the air.
If he is there, is that a player? Like, is he a player? Is Io a player? Is Trey Mann a player that we move up for in the late ones? Like, I'm just looking at who they have 26 to 30. The other two are Josh Christopher and Trey Murphy the third.
Yeah, Trey Murphy the third is going to go higher. He's he's a low 20s kind of guy for me.
Hell, if Jaden Springer falls right now, 23 is kind of low from where we've seen him this year.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see one of the youngest players in the draft be that far down for having a spectacular year. It's so tough. So here's the question: Do you go stereotypical? You go, Karnisovas, we're going to Europe. We're going to go pick a player that none of y'all ever fucking heard of.
Yeah.
And we're going to be great for it. And you won't even know it.
I know exactly who that, because of last night.
Jake told me.
It's Rokas. Yeah, like, if we're at 38 and he's there, like, after watching his film yesterday, I'd be happy with that. I wouldn't be against it because he's a point guard and he does things that we would need at the point guard spot. But yet again, is AK going to do what AK used to do and take European guys, or is he going to do what we saw last year? We all thought Denny would be the guy, and he pulled a rabbit out of his hat and said, nope, Patrick Williams.
But what about Marko, not that Marko Simonovic?
Could be.
He came over. Is he coming over this year?
I don't know.
He's doing really well.
He is.
Everyone's talking about the fact that
Sam posts about him all the time in NBA chat when he has a good game.
He's a fucking stud.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of why we were okay with moving on from Wendell Carter as well. Gafford, I wish we didn't give up on because he's a fucking monster for Washington. But I think that's why. I think that we think Marko will be coming over and he'll be our backup center if we don't want to keep Tice around, which I don't know, I kind of like him now that he's on the Bulls, but it's whatever. But yeah, if we go after Rokas, I wouldn't be surprised. But you're right. He could swerve us. You know, it's the idea of if there's a value there late that's undervalued. I think that Rokas has the talent to be a first round, a late one.
Yeah.
If you believe that what he's doing over there is duplicatable in the U.S. Because you expressed your concerns about the level of competition, how well he was able to get into the paint, draw contact, and finish. And if the fundamentals are there, I don't have a problem with it. I always thought about him as a late steal. If he was going in like the 45 range, I was like, oh my God, I would love this kid.
Chainsaw brought up something that I was going to get to too, of like, did AK make the Vuce move because of the fact, like, I look at the big board for for point guards and I go, somebody has to fall, because like, I think we're in agreement that Suggs, Cade, Springer, Giddey, Butler, Mitchell, possibly Cooper, all of those are going to be first rounders. Io is on the fringe, where Io could be a second rounder. I think he should be a first rounder. But like, outside of that, Dacian Nix, Joel Ayayi, Miles McBride, Rokas, Trey Mann, Max, like, these are all seconds, but like, there are so many point guards in the second of, is AK just going to say, all right, we're just going to, unless someone wows us, these are the guys we're going to scout, and we're going to get the best one out of these second round point guards, because there's an abundance of them that may have first round talent, but are going to fall to the second round.
Yeah, just by the nature of the position this year, the way the draft is kind of shaped up, there's a lot of depth at the point guard position, but it's the question of like, what's your skill set you're specifically looking for?
Yeah.
Because I think what
do you think the Bulls would be looking for? I'll put you on the spot.
I mean, a pure facilitator. That's why I think Sharif Cooper is my ideal fit. I don't think we will get him. Yeah. Obviously, top of the draft, you can't go wrong with Suggs. You can't go wrong with Cade Cunningham, regardless. Doesn't even fucking matter. Not having that conversation today. But I do think that outside of that, yeah, Cooper is the best passer in this draft period.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to have him on this team because I think that having someone who can facilitate at his level, day one in the NBA, plus Vucevic as an incredible passing center, Zach is an above average passing shooting guard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that team will move the ball really, really well. So I would love the idea of going after that. Yes, having a 6 foot on a good day point guard next to Zach LaVine is not going to help us defensively, but I think that offense is almost, it might be worth it.
How would you, because to me, I still have to dive into his film because I didn't watch a lot of the G League this year. Dacian Nix now is the 7.1 assists that I see. Is that just like a high assist number or like, because Chainsaw asked, what if Nix
That
falls?
was per 36. So his per game was 5.3.
Okay.
Just, I know you're on tank down. That's why.
Yeah. Would you say that he would be, like, if we're looking for passing, would Nix be a guy that fits that and would be a guy we take at 38 if he's there?
I think if you forced my hand to pick between second round point guards, if we draw the line and say starting Dacian Nix, Io, Rokas, Joel, probably would say he's got one of the more intriguing bodies, but the question for me is how quickly will he be able to contribute at the NBA level?
Yeah.
Obviously, he was,
because like you said, we're going to need someone to contribute now rather than later.
Yeah. That's why I would almost lean like Io over him, because Io is a little bit older, much more physically developed, and has played in a whole lot more games. He's got a whole lot more experience, big time shots. He has the ability to carry over as a high level scorer. He's just not. He shouldn't be that guy at the NBA because of his efficiency. So I love the idea of going with him over Nix, even though I think Nix could develop to be the better player overall because he's got great physical size for his age, and he's already been working with NBA level talent at the point guard position, work with NBA strength and conditioning coaches. Like he should be set up for success, but the problem is I can see him fitting in just as a great backup point guard moving forward, who's got incredible size, who can come in the second unit, really challenge other teams.
Do you worry with Io, and this is coming from the Illini fan, do you worry that he's too much like Zach LaVine, though? But
I mean, we already drafted Kobe White, so why not just go fucking all over?
To where it's like, because like when I see Io, I would love him in a Bulls jersey. Don't get that wrong. Yeah. Don't get that twisted. But to me, I'm looking at it and I go, I don't know if he'd be the right fit for us, because to me, he's more of a two guard who can score and has the passing ability rather than I play the one and I pass first. Because like I look at Illinois, who did Illinois have next to him late in the season? Who will probably be the best point guard in the NCAA next year, Andre Curbelo.
You hope so.
The hype is going straight to the moon with this kid, and I love it.
I wonder what Io would look like on a team where he's not forced to be the number one option.
Yeah.
I think that's the question we don't know the answer to.
He was in college, yeah.
Yeah, he was forced to be the number one option. We all thought Miller was going to step in and not be a sack of shit.
Yeah.
Instead, he is, and a coward. He's transferred. So let's just get that clear.
Yep.
Shots fired.
He's a Kentucky Wildcat now, Dave.
At me, bro. Go ahead and follow. Go ahead. I ain't saying. I ain't
follow you on Twitter. You'll never see it.
Yeah, it's but when you're on a team, when you have guys who are, incredible high efficiency shooters, what would he look like? Could he evolve his game?
Yeah.
And I think we've seen him evolve his game we've seen him evolve his body and his game in 3 years in college. Yeah. I don't think there's a reason we should believe that he could not become more of a pass friendly guard. I don't think he'll ever be a pure passing 10 assist a game kind of guy.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily know that we need that. I mean, if he goes, 6-2 in his assist to turnover, probably would be great for us. Like, I would fucking take that. Like, we don't need him to be the guy who scores all the time, but everybody's just saying the player he is in college is the player he'll be in the NBA for the next 10 years if he makes it 10 years in the league. And I'm going, why can't he continue to grow? Because we've seen him grow in college. I think that's the thing is you see the hard work, you see the dedication, and you see the work put in to get better. Why would he stop all of a sudden and say, I'm a scorer? This is I'm Jordan Clarkson upside. That's who I want to be. Like,
now,
I fucking believe that.
I'm not comparing Io to this player. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
but could we see, like, okay, think about who Billy Donovan had with the Thunder. Who were his two guards?
Shea.
I would say, didn't he have Russ before that? Didn't he have Russ for a
Oh,
while?
okay. I was
Russ and
saying last.
PG?
I was going from last
Yeah.
season. It
But
was
like
Chris Paul, but
Russ and PG, where I'm not saying Io and Zach would be exactly like them, but you've got a guard who can, where if Io's playing the point, he's someone who can score and also facilitate. Russ can do it just better. And then PG, who can pass and score just like Zach can, but, is better than Zach. Like two guards that can do them both. They don't really pass like Russ does pass absolutely well. So it's not clean cut.
He's a generational talent.
Yeah,
okay.
Not exactly, but like, is it more of that thing of like, we can have two guards that kind of do a little bit of both and still have it work?
I will do you one better and say, as far as guys who have come out even recently, I would look at him like a slightly more developed physically RJ Hampton, someone who we watched struggle in the NBL. He was a role player on a team. Didn't really get to pop off too often. Everybody's like, well, he was a top talent. He went over there. We didn't really see much of him as far as being a point guard. Maybe he's more of a combo guard. The year of sitting basically in Denver, and now he gets a chance to pop off with Orlando with free reign. All of a sudden, this man can facilitate. This man can pass. This man has incredible capability. He's got great athleticism, moves the ball, can attack the rim. Like, I'm looking at Ion going, well, you used to be a top talent in your draft class. You've grown physically. You're much larger, like strength, like muscle-wise, than RJ is at this point in time. Like, why couldn't you be someone who continues to grow their game and adds that at the next level? I don't see a reason why you would say it's not possible. I mean, am I going to put my money down on it? I'm not sure. But if you're saying second round, who am I going to take a shot on? Io DeSumo, Dacian Nix, Rokas,
would probably be Io, right?
I would probably lean Io out of that group. Rokas is the interesting one because you just say European player, go forward AK, like, we trust you.
Yeah.
But if we're being honest, like, that's probably the one that would line up best time wise for them. And then you could see the idea of if they want to move Kobe White for something, so they could package Kobe plus Lowry for something great. Yeah. Because I mean, I'm just assuming we're trying to max off Alonzo Ball in the offseason.
I got two for you. One's a draft question, one's a trade question.
Yeah.
How would you feel if we got who Tankathon has us going with at 38 in the UCLA kid, Johnny Juzang? the shooting guard, which apparently helps us.
Don't know what they're doing. I don't know why.
No, doesn't help. I love Johnny Juzang, but same here. He doesn't help us.
He's not my 38th best prospect. Would not take him.
You know how I love to throw out trades from people's articles with no context, Dave, and then Sean gets mad at them, and then they add us. This is from Andrew Miller at Pippin Ain't Easy. This is where you were like, if they get a trade, what would you think of this 3-team trade, Dave, that does involve both Kobe White and Lauri Markkanen? Both teams are in the West. The first one, do you want to know the Kobe team or the Lowry team first?
Kobe.
The Kobe team is the Trailblazers, and they would be getting Kobe White, Tomas Satoransky, Thad Young, and Devin Vassell. Lauri Markkanen would be going to the Spurs, and the Spurs would get Lauri Markkanen, Anthony Simons, and Nasir Little. And the Bulls would get one player, Dave. Who do you think we're getting?
I don't know.
CJ McCollum.
That no way will happen or work. The Spurs get fucked.
The Spurs basically give up Devin Vassell.
Yeah.
Yeah, they give up Devin Vassell for Lauri, Simons, and Nasir.
And they get fucked.
And the Bulls give up Kobe, Tomas, Thad, Lowry for CJ McCollum.
I mean, look, CJ wouldn't help us or hurt us. I don't think we get that much better. Yeah, he's a better scorer, but like.
But then we have two non-point guards out there?
Yeah, and paying a lot of money for no defense in the backcourt. Doesn't really do much for us. Unfortunately.
Jake, CJ literally wouldn't solve a thing.
Yeah.
Would
No,
not solve a thing. There was one I saw where they're like, we could get Yaka Pirtle. And I was like, when was this article written? I was like, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like, that was after the Vusi trade. How does that help us when we have Vucevic already? That's the thing. With the Bulls, I think if we're trading Kobe or Lowry, like, Lowry is to go all in on, like, a Lonzo Ball. And then if it's a Kobe, it's to trade for a draft pick. Like, if Kobe gets traded, it's on draft night. If Lowry gets traded, it's obviously after draft night, and it's to try to go for like a Lonzo Ball or a veteran that will help us win now.
Where do you think Kobe White's value is in this year's draft class?
At least a late first, like 20 to 30.
I would hope so.
I know. That's me maybe underselling him to where like I don't know if teams would want to pay a late lottery pick for Kobe White. I could see like
incredible shooter.
I could see non-lottery maybe for sure, but like I see if a trade gets done, we're getting a pick between 20 and 30. I don't know if you think differently. If it's obviously
no. I mean, I'm trying to think of like a perspective, home for this kid. And it's just interesting to try to put together an idea of like where value wise he would land.
Who needs a combo guard who's not great on defense?
Yep, but he's improving his offense. Mm-hmm. His consistency needs some help, but he is a absolute flamethrower. Mm-hmm. Scoring wise. Well,
is it Brooklyn?
Golden State's sitting there at 17.
Golden State would work.
Would Golden State move 17 for Kobe White?
Depends. Do they get 4? Or do they get 5? Or do they get the Wolves pick is what I'm saying. If they get the Wolves pick, yeah, I'd move that pick because I've got a top pick. But if they don't get the Wolves pick, I don't know how they value that.
Is it weird that we're selling Kobe White, a guy who was a top, what was he, pick 7? Yeah. I just assume because we're the Bulls 7.
He was pick 7.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For 17, and like, is that a good value now? I don't know.
I don't think it's something to where it's like we're underselling him. It's just he hasn't lived up to where we picked him, and it's not anything against him. It's against the fit on this team. Like with Kobe, I would say. The problem is,
yeah, like you said, mm-hmm. if say we did a deal where it was Kobe White for 17 and something else tossed in there, we'll sweeten the pot. Kobe White on the Warriors instantly.
Yeah.
What is he, a 20-point score?
Off the bench. Nico Mannion is obviously G League at that point, and then he takes Nico's spot, and off the bench he's probably 18 to 20-point scorer for their second unit.
That's just dumb. It's dumb because they have a point guard.
Yeah. I mean, he would be the backup point guard for them. So Chainsaw says, who did we miss out on exactly from the 2019 draft? I'm trying to think. Did we miss out from it? Like, was it because I know in our mocks and stuff, I don't think I had Kobe going to us.
Side note, I saw you guys had re-listened to the 2017 centers discussion.
Did we?
Yeah, it was in a discussion I saw. You guys had posted the video.
Okay. I don't remember the center. I think that was Jake.
I re-listened to it.
Okay, I think that was Jake
Collins, John Collins.
We didn't listen to that. That was Jake trying to find something. We listened to the redraft of
in that one. Mm-hmm. You know who I said?
Who?
Bam Adebayo.
Dave was right. Is that what we're getting?
Dave was right.
Yeah.
You were like, we were all talking about different centers to take.
Who did I say?
Getting some gruff about saying Bam Adebayo was my guy out of the group. Although it really did hurt to remember that in that group of John Collins, Zach Collins, Bam, there was that bust who went to the Timberwolves, then the Sixers, and whatever. That center who like literally did nothing in the league.
Timberwolves, Sixers.
He had bad ankles or knees or feet.
Oh, are you talking about the guy that we drafted? He was in the Lowry trade.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! What was it? He was from Creighton. He was from Creighton. Was it Pelton? No. I
No.
think it started with
Patton.
a P. Patton.
Justin Patton.
Justin Patton. I knew it started
and I
with
remember
a P.
I remember how much we were talking like about all this stuff, and I was like, wow, it's wild to think like how some of that stuff paid off true and like how close we were on some of these things.
Yeah.
So that's why I like looking back at these. So I'm glad you guys posted that. So bringing up the 2019 group that he said, right?
So, yeah, I'm looking at our mock. So, based off of our last mock, do you want to know what I did for the Bulls in that mock?
Traded.
This was the 7.0.
I
traded. No, I not traded up. Oh. We were the 7th. Pelicans were the 8th. They gave us Lonzo in the 8th. We gave them the 7th.
Yeah, that's not close to
think about it. At the time, though, Lonzo's value was not what it is now. And then the Pelicans took Garland, and we took Cam Reddish. So Cam Reddish was who I
that
wanted.
would be an all-star draft for us, but they would never have given up that deal.
Dave for the Bulls took Kobe White at 7.
Yeah, because that's at that point we knew who it was going to be.
How yours went out was Zion at 1 to the Pels, Ja the Grizzlies, RJ Knicks. Yep. Then you had Hawks via Pelicans, via Lakers, Jarrett Culver.
Wait, I did a dumb trade there. I feel it.
You did trade. Thanks for AD. Hawks give up 8, 10, 42 future seconds to get 4 and the future seconds. So you had the Hawks taking Jarrett Culver.
Okay.
Cavs getting Cam Reddish. Suns going with that hurt guy, Garland.
Yep.
And then the Bulls going with Kobe White.
Good call. Jarrett Culver, I did not see being, and I should have saw the signs.
Mm-hmm.
Should have seen the signs of his issues.
And then you had Shamori Pons in the 2nd to the Bulls.
I love Shammy Pons.
Who did I have to the Bulls?
He ain't an NBA player, but it's still fun.
I had the Sixers taking Thibault with the Bulls pick.
Nice.
So at least I got that right. But yeah,
way off the board. You had Thibault going late too.
Yeah, I don't know if we missed out. Like, is there anyone in that draft that the Bulls really missed out on?
I mean, like, if you think that, obviously, you look at the next guys taken. Jackson Hayes is now showing he can shine a little bit.
Yeah.
But we didn't need a center. You know, we literally just took a center. So, didn't need him. Rui Hachimura, we just took a power forward. Where we're going to take another one? No. Cam Reddish was the only guy. And again, his college tape showed one thing. So, okay, great. Now we're down to Cam Johnson, role player. Don't care.
That was a reach, too.
That was a reach we all thought. PJ Washington, great 4. But again... We just took.
Now we're getting into ranges of like you weren't even going to think about them at 7.
Tyler Hero was the kid I loved.
Yeah, but you weren't thinking about him at 7?
No.
Yeah.
I had him as high as 10. I believe was my best for Tyler Hero. I think I had him at 10. Love Chuma.
Basically, what I'm saying now is the guys we're getting into. There's no way you were going to take them at where we were. So like for me personally, if I was making the pick. It probably would have been Cam Reddish because I just like.
I take it back, Ricky.
What?
Easy.
Yeah.
Kevin Porter Jr.
Oh, that's right. Didn't he?
He was in mine. He wasn't down.
He fell. But yeah, I wouldn't say we missed out on anyone. Anything you think we need to hit with the Bulls draft before we wrap everything up?
No, I think the expectation is we're probably going to try to swing for a point guard in free agency. So I'd like to see if they go wing here.
Yeah.
Or
just BPA.
Or if we go BPA. I mean, obviously, if we get the top 4 pick, fucking winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah.
Then it looks like we're fucking 200 IQ geniuses here.
Out of the top 4 minus Cade, because obviously if we're number 1, we take Cade.
Do you take Jalen Suggs, even though you don't think he's the best player out of the top?
If I'm at 2, I take... At 2, it is a discussion between Mobley and JG. I would probably, like... See, that's the thing, though. Like, I think the Bulls... I would love for them to get 3 because I would love to get Evan Mobley.
Yeah.
Get Evan Mobley, but yet again...
2. I mean, he's 2 on your board.
Yeah.
I don't want you to feel like you have to go wrong with my narrative.
See, but that's the thing. Like, I feel like JG4 might be the 2nd pick off the board, depending on who it is.
Yeah.
Like,
I think the problem is just
it's the whole, like, it's the whole Wiseman... versus LaMelo thing all over again.
That was so dumb.
Where it was like, okay, this guy, we all thought, okay, Anthony Edwards will be number 1 to them. All right, who's getting taken at 2? Is it Wiseman or LaMelo? I feel like the same thing
when you
here.
draft for fit over talent.
Depends.
And that's my problem. Looking back, 1 year in, everybody's going, Yeah, I'd rather take LaMelo. And again, that's nothing wrong with James Wiseman. He is a player who didn't have any. He had 3 college games. It is what it is. So like, it's tough to judge him on a team that's trying to compete for a playoff spot. But he's terrible.
Jake says if you take JG4, trade Levine, easy solution.
Probably would. Or I would try to sign Kyle Lowry and Chris Paul. I would throw hundreds of millions of dollars at over the hill talent at the point guard position because I want to win. That would be my decision there. Yeah.
Jake also likes what Chainsaw said. Chainsaw said trade for Giddey.
I would love Giddey as well. I don't think I have a problem with that. But if I'm at 2,
and
I'm not taking Giddey.
Giddey and JG4 in the same draft? You wouldn't think they'd work together?
Oh, you mean trade Zach LaVine for Giddey?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like to a top team in the first round to get
Giddey. The fucking Thunder? Like, no. We didn't just we didn't just trade away Wendell Carter to pick up. No.
Dude's like, no, I'm not even entertaining that.
Because that's what we want. We want Kobe White, JG4, Giddey, Pat Will, and Vucevic. That's our team of the future, boys and girls. Vucevic-led team. No. You fucking dumb? Damn.
But that is going to do it then. We'll leave it there. That's how we will end this show. Tomorrow will be NBA again. Neither Dave or I will be here. Knock on glass because I don't have any wood around me. It's going to be Jake and Soaps, hopefully tomorrow, bringing you guys the first ever Jake and Soapy show here on MVP Sports as we continue NBA for this NBA week. NFL will be coming up on Thursday. Remember, join the Discord link down below in the description or exclamation Discord in the Twitch chat. Get you that link. If you want to support us, patreon.com/MVPvids. You can throw us a sub on Twitch. Thank you to our Patreon sponsor, Pat Hill. We're also on Twitch, twitch.tv, but we're not really anymore. 2 weeks and we're on YouTube. So you got 2 weeks is our 2-week notice. After the 24th of May and on, we will be live streaming on YouTube solely. So I wanted to give you that kind of update there. I already said NBA tomorrow with Jake and Soapy. We will see you guys all tomorrow. Thank you for being as great as you always are. And have a good day, everybody.
WPN.